Hello, this is a video on how to use Capture to record services at Redeemer. So to start off with, the Capture software is here with this icon. It's called Capture 2. It's also down here on the taskbar. So I'm going to click on it there. The first thing we see when we open it up is a couple options up here. The one we'd use most often and is this New Session button. There's a Record Now button, and this is sort of just for emergencies. Because what you get with this is it's going to start a recording with all the tracks enabled, and then just start recording now. So if you don't have time to name something or choose where it's supposed to go or choose what tracks you want to get armed, you just want to make sure you get everything right now, that's for that. Here, let's try it out. Record now. There we go. Everything on, everything recording. So if we stop that, and I'm just going to close that session. So now let's try opening a new session. What we're going to get is the title will be auto-populated with the date. This one has a number 2 because we just did our emergency session for today. And then in the E drive for this Capture Sessions folder is where we want to keep those. So I'm going to click OK. Now this is what, well, before I do that, this is what I'll normally do for Sunday service, is just leave the date in there. For any other kind of thing, we can type in what that is. So if it's a memorial service, I'll put the last name and memorial, or whatever it happens to be, like VBS teacher training or all staff worship night, 2016, either that sort of thing. So we can title that to make sure we know what it is. So I'll just leave the date in there for now. Click OK. And now we have our session. So over here is all our tracks, and they're automatically routed correctly to the board. So channel 24 down here is channel 24 on the mixer. So if you have multiple tracks that you know you're going to want to keep, and the only reason I do that is because I want to keep them for mixing later. So probably you're never going to have to really bother with that. So normally what I do for a Sunday service is disable all of the tracks so that none of them are set to record at this point. And scroll all the way down to the bottom. And this last one is a stereo track. That's the main fader out of the mixer. So I'll turn that one on. That's what's coming out of the speakers in the worship center. So that's the important one to get. Once we've got that titled, if you want to change the names for these, you can just double click on the title, and then type in what the new name is going to be. And that's useful if I am doing separate tracks. So when I export them, I know what they are. And if you're labeling multiple tracks at a time, you can hit the tab key to go right to the next one, like that. All right, so now we've named some tracks. We are ready to record. And the way we do that, super simple, the record button up here. And as you've noticed, when I hit record, this little red padlock icon came on, and that means that clicking these buttons doesn't do anything. So I can't accidentally stop the recording here. In order to stop the recording, I have to click twice, once to unlock, and then once to stop. The cool thing about Capture is that every time you stop the recording, it automatically saves itself. So we can save session here, but we don't have to because it automatically saves. Another thing that's useful in Capture is this button over here, which shows us the markers list. And the markers are really useful for when we're exporting the tracks to use them later. You can either add markers with this button here or with these buttons over here. So when you add a marker, it will be added wherever your cursor currently is. So you can click around to move that to place it wherever you need it to be. So I want to put a marker all the way at the beginning. So I'm going to use these navigation buttons, this one, to go all the way back to the beginning, and then add a marker. Then over here, we can name it whatever we'd like to. Let's call this the beginning. Now we can go, this little slider changes how far we've zoomed in to the session here. So I'm going to zoom out so I can find, let's say that's the first half of, say, the first service on Sunday. So I'll add a second one and call this the 9:30 service. Then we can record a little bit more. There's the 9:30 service. Stop recording. Then we'll add another marker. Let's say we only had 2 services that Sunday. So now we can type in that that's the end. Now what we get by having 3 different markers is that we have one at the beginning and at the end of every section of audio. And the reason that's useful is because if we go up to session here, export tracks, we want to get them out of here. Here we can change the name of the track, its location, the format, which these settings are the ones we want to use, WAV files 24-bit, 44.1. But these options down here are where the markers really come in handy. Because if we choose session, it will export from the very beginning of wherever there's audio to the very end of wherever there's audio, and as one file. You know, doesn't matter the breaks in between, we get the whole thing. If we go between each marker, then we get this one, because it's between the beginning and the 9:30. That goes in a folder, and then we get this one between the 9:30 and the end, and that one goes in a folder. And the really useful one is down here. So I can choose the section between the beginning and the 9:30 marker, or the section between the 9:30 marker and the end marker. Let's say I like that one better. So instead of getting all of them in separate folders, which can be a lot of space taken up by audio files, we just get the one that we need. So when I hit OK, it'll export, and I'll get the folder of where that got put. And that's how we use Capture. Thank you for watching.